Davie
I've basically
504.
been living outside.
What's going on with Davie? Is this like bait? Is this a bait video,
I've
guys?
basically been living outside of Italy for many years. It started as a temporary thing, a way to see the world, but it turned into a realization. And now I'm officially closing the Italy chapter of my life. But don't get me wrong, Italy is objectively one of the most beautiful places on earth. The food is not a stereotype, it's actually that good. The culture, the weather, there is a reason millions of people save up their entire lives just to spend 1 week here. And if you're a tourist, Italy is a dream. Or if you're wealthy enough to live in a bubble and can hire people to deal with your problems, it's also amazing. But for normal people, me and you, for anybody trying to build something from nothing, it becomes a nightmare. I really tried to make it work. I want it to be the success story that stayed. For years, I had faith in my country. I paid over 60% of what I earned in taxes. Like, think about that.
Jeez.
Most of the work I did, all the hours spent editing, shooting videos, playing music, most of that money wasn't even mine. And honestly,
Joe,
I
you
just
want to think of the
accepted
prime?
it.
Thank you.
I told myself, if those taxes help improve my country, if they help building better schools, better roads, better future for the next generation, then it's a price I'm proud to pay. Even when I was living abroad or traveling, I always kept my company in Italy, so I kept paying. Partly because moving everything internationally is a headache, but mostly because I still felt an emotional debt to my home. And yes, Italy is home. My parents are here. Every street has a memory. And if you have ever lived in another country, you know the feeling. You know that nostalgia is like a ghost. It follows you everywhere. But in Italy, you try to convince yourself that having a good life is just about the weather and the food. You just ignore the problems because you love the feeling
Man, I
of
fucking
being
hate
home.
the government.
But eventually, that love is not enough to stop the pain. Loving a country that doesn't love you back is exhausting. You realize that you can't live on memories alone. You can't pay your rent with culture. One day, the frustration of the real world becomes...
Dude, I did not think that that's what this video would be about. Dude, how many of his fans got mad at him? Dude, he must have had some commie fans that got super fucking mad. Man, it's actually super positive. Dang.
becomes louder than the beautiful memories of the past. And that is the day everything changes. The moment I completely lost faith was when I got raided by the financial police. It still feels like a movie script when I say it. It was 3 years ago and I was abroad when they called me. They didn't tell me much, just that we needed to meet, so I did the right thing and I flew all the way from the other side of the world just for them and showed up at their office ready to cooperate. You know, I thought they were just gonna ask me something about my job, because a lot of people are still very confused about what influencers, YouTubers or content creators really are. But the moment I walked in their office, the vibe changed. They told me where to go straight to search my home. We drove together there and I wasn't even allowed to use my phone. You know, they were dead serious, like they were dealing with a cartel boss. I remember sitting in the car and be like, what is even happening? I'm just playing bass on YouTube. What did they think they were gonna find? Secret blueprints for a 6-string bass? Illegal slap techniques? It was surreal. But once we got to my place and they realized I was just a guy with a bunch of basses and a camera, the atmosphere relaxed. And these kind of raids are something that are bound to happen to pretty much anybody owning a company in Italy. But when you have spent a decade building a career out of nothing, trying to follow every complicated rule, and you're still being treated like a fugitive.
That is the problem too, is a lot of the rules are super fucking complicated. It's like, dude, I can't even track them all myself. I just pay someone to handle it because I don't fucking know what's going on.
Something breaks inside you. But the funniest part of this whole situation was when I saw my official file, they actually printed a base picture under my name. When I noticed it, we laughed together, because if I didn't laugh, I would have cried. But that raid forced me to look at the math. I started asking myself what I'm actually getting in return for 60% of my income. In Italy, we are told taxes are high because the services are free. Let's talk about that. Healthcare is free, sure. But if you ever try to use it for something urgent, if you need to see a specialist or you need an important scan, then the waiting lists are 6 months, even 1 year long. So what happens? You get scared because you can't wait for 1 year. So you go to a private clinic and pay out of your pockets. So now you have paid a massive tax for the public system and you are paying a
Do you see this shit, guys? You have people in America that are like, oh, but we need the government healthcare. We need it so bad. And you see everyone around the world constantly saying how fucking ass it is. But like, you can see it in plain sight. people saying how fucking ass it is, and yet people in America are still like, oh, we need it so bad, guys, we need it really bad.
Private fee to
Yeah, it's
actually stay
unreal.
healthy. That's not a service. That's a double.
Like Canada is literally like, why don't you just freaking neck yourself, right? Like you go to Canada because you have a health issue. Did you guys see the thing with the priest? There was a priest in Canada that got told to go neck himself, and he was like, I'm a priest, we don't do that. And they're like, oh, okay. And then like the next day they were like, yeah, have you considered necking yourself? Like, it's just unreal. Like it's so sad, man. And it's like I said, it's like people here in America, the commies, the fucking commies in America, they always want communism. You see its effects. We've known its effects in history like forever. There's so many cases you could point to. Honestly, I should make a song about how much communism sucks. I think I need to do that. I think we need to do that.
And then there is the bureaucracy. In other countries, I can open a business or renew a document in 10 minutes. In Italy, no way. You need a stamp, then a different stamp, then an appointment that's 3 months away, then you show up at the office and it's closed because of a random local holiday. And the most frustrating part is the culture of the hookup. Everyone tells you the same thing. You need to know someone, friend of a friend. If you don't have a connection, the system just ignores you. It's a society built on who you know rather than what you do. And it's
which is what always happens in socialistic systems, which is always what happens, is that there are a small percentage of people that have access to all of the shit. Guys, this has happened so much in history already. What the fuck? VTuber says, dude, remember Metal Apocalypse? They had a song called Mermaid. That would be so change for mermaids to slaughtered Canadian healthcare, dude.
It's not just the residents who feel this weight. You can see the system failing everywhere, including how Italy handles immigration issues. The system is so broken, it's just unfair. It's unfair for the people who are arriving here, hoping to get a better life, and it's unfair to the citizens who feel the social balance is being stretched to its limit because the government just doesn't have any clear plans. And it's painful to say all of this, because I don't hate Italy. If I hated it, I would have left years ago and never looked back. I love this country, but I realized that loving this country is like being in a toxic relationship. It will just drain you, and eventually you have to walk away for your own sanity. As an entrepreneur, you want to focus on your craft you want to create, but in Italy, it felt like 70% of my effort and energy was spent dealing with the system, defending myself and trying to understand all the obscure laws. And at the end of the day, the smartest and the most ambitious people I know, they're all leaving. Not because they want to, but because they have to. So
and what that causes then, right, is it causes the country itself to just lose all of its innovative people. Because nobody wants to fucking deal with that shit, right? They all move out. And you can see this happening in real time, by the way, in like America as well. You can see the exodus from places like New York and California. You see a lot of these entrepreneurs, these people who actually create things. You see them all moving out. Nobody wants to like do business in California unless they absolutely have to anymore.
Now, every country has problems, but I've learned that life is too short to spend it in a place that makes you feel you are doing something wrong by succeeding. I'm closing this chapter, but I'm not closing my heart completely. I'm just changing the way I look at it. I'm moving from being a resident to just a visitor, and strangely, that made me appreciate the beauty of Italy even more. When I come back now, I don't look at tax forms or broken sidewalks. I'm looking at the sunset, the history, and my family. And to anyone watching
this, that's so sad for like everyone that got left behind. I'm not blaming him for it at all, but it's kind of like, man, you go back to experience the culture, and then you think about it. It's like everybody there is suffering. Like it's fucking awful, man. I feel the same way though. Like whenever I go to California, I'm like, man, this place is so pretty sometimes, right? Like you go to like either like northern California, and go around like like the redwoods, Napa Valley, Monterey. Like you go to like these kind of places and you're like, man, it's really pretty out here. And it fucking sucks.
Who feels stuck, whether it's in a country, a job, or in a situation that feels like it's working against you. Remember, growth requires movement. You cannot bloom in soil that is designed to keep you small. Living is not failing. It's an act of self-respect. It's saying I value my time, my work, and my future.
I keep telling people from California this. And if you don't get it, dude, I've pleaded with like my family in California, like, come on guys, you guys have to leave. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm begging them, right? Because I care about them. And it's like, you gotta watch, if there's a video by PBD, Patrick McDavid, about California. and about how like you can't be serious about life if you live in California because the cost of stuff in California is so prohibitively expensive. It just cucks you permanently. Like it keeps you in like a shit state. It keeps you in a shit state of being for so long, and it makes it incredibly hard to like advance anywhere. Yeah, that's why I left. Yeah, exactly. Jonathan Trey, thank you so much for the bets. Thank you, Lee. Did you hear that the mayor of Arcadia, California, just pleaded guilty? Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, if you guys didn't know about that, the mayor of Arcadia, California, pleaded guilty to being a CCP agent, and her husband was a CCP spy, and they're only facing 4 years and 10 years. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like if somebody's in public office in California and they're a fucking spy, I feel like you should just shoot them. You know, I'm just being real. I feel like that's kind of a blast their brain, like a blast their brain situation. Like, I don't know. It just seems ridiculous. Like that the penalty for that is so low. Drew Invictus, thank you so much for the 1,000. Leave there's a vid about a Canadian woman who came to the U.S. for treatment after Canada told I know what video you're talking about, Drew. I think we watched that already. But yeah, I feel like 4 years and 10 years is a little bit low for like one, being a spy straight up, and two, holding office while being an agent of another country. Like 4 years and 10 years seems ridiculous. Yeah, that seems so low. Like, how is this, like, why is this a thing? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we want to discourage spies and, you know, like governments, people in the government in America being agents of other countries. I feel like we want to discourage that to the maximum. I mean, I feel like life in prison at least. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Enough to find a place that actually deserves me. I'm taking the soul of Italy with me. I'm taking the passion, the creativity, and the resilience, but I'm leaving all the weights behind. And there are places out there that are waiting people like you. People who want to build, who want to slap bass, who want to create something that has never been seen before. This is not a goodbye to Italy. It's a see you later. I'm not losing my home. I'm just making the whole world my home. Don't be afraid to close a chapter, because that's the only way we'll ever find what the rest of the book has to say. Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Damn. That was actually such a sad video, man. That fucking sucks. The only time San Francisco cleared out the homeless camps was when she visited the conference with Gavin Newsom. Wonder why they would do that. I wonder why. Like, this shit is so ridiculous, man. Like, you know what? Let's watch the fucking PBD video.
Say you live in New York, say you live in LA, say you live in San Francisco,
guys.
Say you live in Chicago, say you live in any place and you say I don't give people who are living in Florida, I don't give people living in Texas, I don't care if they're going to Tennessee, anywhere. I am not leaving the state. Perfect. If that's you, there's two things you have to keep in mind specifically for those of you that have no plans of leaving your state or your country. Now, I'm going to make my argument to you. If it makes sense and I get you thinking, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. So let's get right into it. Last week I'm in LA, I'm giving a speech at Lowe's Hotel in Santa Monica. There's 400 people in the audience, and I open up the speech. Right off the bat, I hit the stage, I asked this question. I said, how many of you have no plans of leaving the state of California the next 3 to 5 years? And people are kind of startled by that question, so no one's really participating. I said, let me ask this question one more time. I said, there's a lot of things that's going on right now, and I'm asking you a specific question. How many of you have no plans of leaving the state of California the next 3 to 5 years? You saw 70% of hands that went up. I said, perfect, no problem. I said, how many of you have plans of leaving the state of California? You're already looking at different places based on what happened the last 12 to 24 months. You see 30%. By the way, that's a pretty big number, but you saw 30% raise hand and saying, yeah, we're kind of looking to see where we're going to go next. I said, no problem. I said, today, I just want to talk to the people that want to stay in the state of California. They said, great. I said, if you're staying in the state of California, here's what you're saying. You're okay with having the highest gas prices.
Here, listen to this, guys. This is big,
I just want to talk to the people that want to stay in the state of California. They said, great. I said, if you're staying in the state of California, here's what you're saying. You're okay with having the highest gas prices in America. You're okay with having all-in taxes, state, gas, sales. You have the highest amongst everybody in America. You're okay with high taxes. You're okay with high crime. You're okay with high homelessness. You're okay with high regulation. You're okay with high control. I think they're about to go on masks again on this Friday, LA. You're okay with all of that. Are you still okay with all of that? You see kind of them looking to the left. I said, it's totally fine if you're still okay with that. They're like, yes, so perfect. If you still are planning on staying in the state of California, let me tell you 2 things you need to be ready for. What's that? Last night, I had dinner with my entertainment lawyer in LA at Crustaceans. This is when I'm giving a speech. It was the night before. I said, my lawyer, Michael, let's call him, he says to me, he says, Patrick, I bought a house in Van Nuys. It's like right by Toluca Lake, Van Nuys. He said, I bought this place. It's less than 2,000 square feet. The house should be $600,000-$700,000. It just sold for $1.8 million. I said, what are you talking about? He says, it's only 3 bedrooms and it sold for 1.8.
3 bedrooms, 1.8 million.
I'm a lawyer. Okay, fine. Maybe I can afford it. How is somebody supposed to buy that house? I don't understand it. I said, 1.8 million? I said, $1.8 million. I said, okay. How many guys got a family with 2 or 3 kids and husband and wife living together? They raised their hands. I said, great. So 2,000 square foot house, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, $1.8 million. I said, what does it take to buy a $1.8 million house? I asked one of the realtors, they get up, they
My house in California was like, I think at the peak, it was 900K. And it was like, it wasn't even like close to the city. It's fucking insane. The housing prices are ridiculous. Just for some reference, I moved to a place that you can get a brand new house for 160,000. You can get a brand new house with fiber internet.
Said, well, you need to put 10% down, which is what, 180. I said, great. I said, how many of you here have $180,000 in savings to put a down payment? I said, don't answer that, but just think about it. How many middle-income families have $180K to put on a down payment?
I live in Texas in like the kind of the countryside. They have brand new developments that are like 160 to 200K for a house, and it has fiber internet, brand new. In California, and again, I didn't even live in the city, right? So like, think about that. I lived in the countryside-ish. It was like right next to the countryside in California. And our place was like almost 900,000. It's like, think about that. Like how fucking insane that is.
They don't raise their hands. I said, okay, fine. So you got $1.62 million that you're financing. I said, what's the average mortgage payment on today's rates? 5.7. I think it just went up right now while I'm talking to you, another 3/4 of a basis point. I said, what's the payment on a, $1.6 million house at 6%? She says around $12,000, principal, insurance, tax, everything included.
No, I didn't even have a pool or anything.
I said, is that $12,000 a month pre-tax money?
I didn't even have a pool or anything like that. It was just like a regular ass house. It had like 4 bedrooms and then like a converted one. And like we used like one for like an office and stuff like that, and guest room. Cause like my grandma used to live with us.
Or after-tax money. Everybody's kind of like quiet. They said after-tax money. I said, perfect. So to net $12,000 in the state of California, what do I need to make pre-tax to keep $12K? She says around $20,000, 40% taxes, you keep 12. I said, no problem. So I need to make $20,000 to afford to pay $12,000
guys,
payment.
you have to make $20,000 per month.
On a house that's barely 2,000 square feet and it's 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Yes, no problem. I said, historically, it's been said, whatever mortgage payment you're making, it should be about 1/3 of your income. So if $20,000 is 1/3 of my income, what should my income be? And she says $60,000 a month. So I said, what's 60 times 12? They said 720. I said, great. I said, how many of you here, your job's going to pay you 720 the next 6, 12, 24 months?
Yup.
You see everybody laughing. I said, I'm actually not laughing. I'm actually being very serious. How many of you have a family, you have wife, you have kids, you have husbands, you have all this stuff going on? How soon will your current job pay you $720 per year in the state of California? Because you said you want high taxes. You said you want high gas prices. You said you want the most expensive real estate. You said you want high crime, high homelessness. You want to stay here. I didn't tell you to stay here. You want to stay here. And they're all quiet. I said, now, same people that I asked the question from you, how many of you make less than 6 figures?
But the weather, they're going to say like, but the weather is good here. I like it here. It's going to happen.
70% of hands go up. Of those of you that said you have no plans of leaving the state of California, how many of you guys are now open-minded to it? You see, 1/4, no joke, 1/4 said, I kind of have to start looking. I said, because you either go into Palmdale, Lancaster, or you got a couple options that are out in like the open without good education, without any good security, or you got to figure out a way to do something with your income. So they said, so what's the solution? If you're going
to have to move to like truly buttfuck Egypt, California.
Here, you have to know your economics, meaning what kind of money you need to make, because You cannot do it making 50, 80 grand per year in the state of California. You can do it in other states. You cannot do it in the state unless if you're living in the booties. You cannot do it in the state that you're in. Number one is economics. Number two is figure out politics. What do you mean by politics? I said if we're living in the land of the free and home of the brave, start being free and start being brave and push back on why do we have the highest gas prices, specifically gas taxes? Why do we have the highest taxes state-wise? Why do we have high crime? Why do we have high homelessness? Why do you have all this other stuff?
How do you have all
Ask
that simultaneously?
Why and get involved. And
how is that all simultaneous? That you have to spend $500,000 for like even a house in the middle of nowhere. That's not even like, it's kind of a basic house. You're spending $500,000 at least on like a house in California. And then yet your taxes are expensive. Your gas is expensive and everything is expensive. And then on top of that, you have shitty everything. You have homeless people walking around. You have trash everywhere. How is this fucking possible? You have fucking fires all the time threatening your house. You can't even get fucking insurance because your area always lights on fire. It's like, how is this possible?
Either make the politicians change by the way you vote or get behind somebody or eventually get involved in politics. But you're not going to be able to do it with you sitting around saying, oh, I love my state. It's so awesome. The beach is great. The weather is great. The earthquake is fantastic.
There it is, all the time.
I love the sports teams. I love all this other stuff. Oh my God, babe, life is so hard paying all the bills, man. It's so hard. My kids can't go to private school.
And
if I lived in another state,
basically you are fucking your entire life over for a couple conveniences. That you're unwilling to inconvenience yourself in the ways that don't matter as much. Right? Because like weather, okay, well, you get fucking air conditioning at your other place. It's gonna cost you less even if you air condition the whole fucking year. Right? One, two, like, oh, sports things, like just watch it on TV. Do something else. Right? There's other ways. You're completely fucking your life over for a couple inconveniences.
Kids could have gone to a private school, but I love California. Who cares if they don't go to a private school? It's okay. They can go to a public school because I love my state and I'm willing to pay all the high taxes. Stop.
Yeah, you're willing to sacrifice your kids so that you can live in California still. For like, again, kind of like, this goes back to like the Davie video. For a place that doesn't give a shit about you, you're telling me you're gonna sacrifice like your family, the future like status of your family, the well-being of your family, the future wealth of your family, everything about the education, extracurriculars, food. You're gonna sacrifice all of that because I love California though, right? Like it's crazy.
You got a family. Your kids are relying on you to make the right choices, and you, the 20-year-old version older of what you are today, is also relying on you to make the right choices. And FYI, to those of you guys that are extremely loyal, and you're saying, I'll never leave the state of California, I'll never leave Illinois, I'll never leave. These people that are leaving are cowards. Really? Yes. Huh. Okay. Question for you. Did your great-great-grandparents, were they born here? How many lineage up do I need to go until we can find somebody in your lineage that chose to leave their country to come here to give you a better life? Why did they do it? Were they cowards? Were our parents cowards? My parents left. Do I call my parents cowards? Or am I grateful for the fact that they left Iran, then went to Germany at a refugee camp and eventually ended up being here? Moral of the story is the following. If your state doesn't know that there's a possibility of you leaving, they will keep gassing you. They will keep raising taxes on you. They will keep doing everything to you because you keep saying, I'm not going to leave because of the beach. Make a decision for you and your family. If you're staying, make more money, get into politics. If not, leave the state and go to a different place like many other people have to protect their futures. That's your choice. Now,
basically it's one or the other, right? Either you have to leave. Like if your priority is to have like a good life for yourself and your family, you have two choices. Either you leave or you need to like man up insanely fucking hard and like actually make the money required to actually prosper in California, which is like he mentioned the amount, right? Like it was like 700,000 or something like per year. You really, your choice is one or the other.
You're watching this and this video is being shared with like, oh my God, did you hear what Pat said about California? He called us out. Share it with each other. But if my argument got you thinking this much, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with everybody else you know in your state that may also get pissed off, and let them see what they say about this. They'll comment below and I'll read the comments. I totally disagree with what he has to say. No problem. I welcome it. I want a good debate. I want a good conversation. If you want to watch a couple other videos, I did one video titled 10 Reasons Why You Should Consider Moving to Another State and 10 Reasons Why I Moved to the State of Florida. Take care, everybody. Yep. Bye-bye.
this guy's a businessman who, like, you know, he worked his way up from like nothing, basically. That kind of ties into like the Davie video, right? I'm glad Davie's getting out of that situation, because like that sounds fucking awful, right? And again, like even if you're, you know, in California or in America, you at least have it better than some of these other countries. Like, Davie had to move to a different country, right? At least if you're an American, you know, really no hassle, you can move to another state that will, and this is kind of the great thing about America and like the system we have, is you can leave to another state. Just don't bring your fucking politics here, you know what I mean? Like if you voted for California shit, don't come to Texas and vote for California shit here, please. I'm begging you. If you're gonna come to Texas and vote for California shit, get the fuck out of here. Just my take, you know, just get out of here, man.